So hi everyone, today we're going to be starting with chemistry MCQ past papers and we're going to try our best to solve some challenging questions and try to clarify all possible concepts which we could cover in this video. So let's start with the first question, which says the oxide of an element X increases the rate of decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. At the end of the reaction, the oxide of X is unchanged. Which details are those of X? So first, they've given us some important information in the question itself. One of the most challenging part in MCQ question is that students don't read the question properly. They quickly skip the question and they try to find the suitable answer. When you don't have a proper understanding of the question, how come you solve the answers? How come you know the correct option when you've not read the question properly? So try your best to read the question as many times as possible until and unless you develop a complete understanding of what the question is demanding. Okay? So now the properties they've given us of X are that it is increasing the rate of decomposition of hydrogen peroxide and X is unchanged. So these are the two properties of X that they've given us. By looking at these two properties, we come to know that X is a catalyst. Okay? X is a catalyst. How come we know that X is a catalyst? Because look, it is the property of a catalyst that it increases the rate of reaction. Okay? And X over here is increasing the rate. And secondly, it is also a property of catalyst that at the end of the reaction, the catalyst remains unchanged. The catalyst does not get used up in the reaction and is not changed. It remains the same at the end of the reaction. ठीक है? तो X हमें इससे पता चल गया कि X is a catalyst. And the second thing we know that catalysts are made up of transition elements. Okay, we also know this property that catalysts are made up of transition elements. ठीक है? Now over here we are given with the proton number and with the mass number. ठीक है? Proton and mass number. Over here we are trying to find the best suitable proton and mass number for a catalyst. We know that transition elements, they have a high proton number. Why do they have a high proton number? Because they are arranged according to their proton numbers and they have high proton number. उनके proton numbers high होते हैं. So the answer, you can refer to the periodic table as well, because in such kind of questions you're given with a periodic table. Yeah, so at the end you have your periodic table. You can simply go to the periodic table and see that, look, transition metals, it was 25 and 55. Yeah, this is manganese, so which means that in the upper question as well it's going to be 25 and 55. Okay, so it's going to be 25 and 55. The answer is going to be C, which is manganese. ठीक है? And आपके पास periodic table होता है, you can always tell your answers with the periodic table. This could also be 82 और 207 भी हो सकता था, but अगर ये periodic table में 82 और 207 एक transition element का mass और proton number होता तो हम ये भी कर सकते थे, पर नहीं, हमने periodic table से देखा कि 25 और 55 जो हमारा है वो हमें एक transition metal का चाहिए था, क्योंकि catalysts are always transition elements. ठीक है? I hope I made myself clear. Now let's move on to another question, which says, which row shows the correct number of protons and electrons in the ion of an element in group 2 of the periodic table? ठीक है? Now we are on the group 2 of the periodic table. Group 2 means that the last shell is going to have 2 electrons, or it's going to have a charge of +2. ठीक है? If there are 9 protons, then it cannot have 2 in its last, because there are going to be 2 in the first one and 7 in the last one. So no. And proton electron number should be no. Look, they've asked for an ion. Okay? An ion means that the proton and electron numbers are different. Okay? They have different P and E numbers, ठीक है? By P and E numbers, I mean proton and electron numbers. Yeah, this one's correct. An ion of plus 2 charge, ठीक है? Plus 2 charge means that it is deficient of 2 electrons. So over here you see it's 12 and it's 10. 10 means that deficient of 2 electrons, ठीक है? So the answer is going to be B. 12 means that it has 12 protons, ठीक है? Protons तो 12 हैं, but electrons are only 10, which gives us a charge of 2 plus. ठीक है? There are 2 more electrons and 2 more protons. Sorry, I've just said it wrong. There are 2 more protons and it is deficient of 2 electrons. ठीक है? I hope you got this question as well. Let's move on to this question. The diagram shows part of the periodic table. Which pair of letters represents elements that are in the same period? ठीक है? Which pair of letters represent the elements that are in the same period? So what is a period? ठीक है? Period means a row. Like this is a period which I am highlighting. This row, this complete row is a period. ठीक है? I'm just coloring it up. ठीक है? So this is one period. Now I'm going to write over here, this is a period. You should have a complete understanding of periods and groups, that periods are rows and groups are columns. So I'm going to use another color. This is a group. ठीक है? This. ठीक है? Now they say which pair of letters represent elements that are in the same period. ठीक है? We know that R and S are in the same period, and R, S and Q, all three are in the same period. ठीक है? All three are in the same period. Look, this is Q, this is R and S. So this is the same period. So let's see P and R. No, they're in the same group. P and S, no. Q and T are in the same group. R and S, yeah, that's the correct option. R and S are in the same period. So now let's move up. Titration of an acid against a base is a method often used in the preparation of salts. Which properties of acids, the base, and the salts are required if this method is to be correct? ठीक है? Now they are asking about titration. ठीक है? Titration पूछ रहे हैं हमसे. ठीक है? Now one important thing in the titration process is that, look, you take soluble plus soluble forms a soluble product. ठीक है? So this means that this and this, all three have to be soluble. ठीक है? If you remember titration, we used to take a flask, a conical flask, and from the pipette, by using a pipette something's like this, I guess. By using a pipette, we used to put a fixed amount of acid or base into it, and whatever we have put, now from the beaker we put the opposite thing. For example, if from the pipette we have put a fixed amount of acid, from the beaker we're going to put not a fixed amount we don't know, of a fixed concentration. We're going to check the volume from the beaker, and then we're going to put some base. So both are in liquid form, both are soluble, and we form a soluble salt. So it's going to be option D, soluble, and soluble. I hope this one was an easy question. All of you got it. Now let's move up. A metal reacts with dilute hydrochloric acid to produce a gas. Okay, over here it's very important to know all the reactions of metals, all the reactions of acids. That acids react with metal to produce hydrogen gas, and you should, another mistake students usually do is that they don't learn the test. They don't learn the test for cations, anions, for gases, and for water, and all this is just risking your grades, because for ATP you are given the test, but for paper 1 you got to learn these stuff. So hydrogen gas is produced, as you all know. Hydrogen gas, and test for hydrogen gas is that a lighted splint or glowing splint. Now remember this one thing always, that a glowing splint is always going to be used in test for oxygen. So it's always a lighted splint for hydrogen. You know, they're just trying to confuse us with the glowing splint or a lighted splint. Remember that glowing is for oxygen. I'm going to write over here that glowing is for oxygen, that it does not confuse you. Let's move on. Which pair of compounds could be used in the preparation of calcium sulfate? Okay, one important thing over here is that calcium sulfate is an unfortunately insoluble salt. Okay, so we're going to prepare it by the method of precipitation. Okay, remember this. All the insoluble salts, we prepare them by the method of precipitation. For precipitation, we have to take two soluble reactants and the product formed is insoluble. So the both reactants over here need to be soluble. So calcium carbonate cannot be taken because it's insoluble. Calcium chloride is soluble. Ammonium sulfate is soluble. Okay, we can see this. Calcium hydroxide is insoluble, and barium sulfate is also insoluble. Calcium nitrate is soluble, but lead sulfate is again insoluble. One important thing in salt preparation is, please for God's sake, learn the solubility rules. Learn the solubility rules. Learn the solubility rules, please. I'm saying it thrice, that learn the solubility rules if you want to ace the paper. Don't risk your grades by trying to act cool and not learning things. Please learn the solubility rule. Otherwise, how come you identify all this, that what's calcium carbonate and what's sodium sulfate, even though salts are soluble or not? You got to learn that table of the solubility rules. Okay? Next question is, which reaction does not involve either reduction nor oxidation? Okay, so this one's a bit tricky, but for this as well, you got to learn that oxidation and reduction don't occur in which reactions? Either it's in neutralization reaction, okay, or it's a precipitation reaction. In these two reactions, no oxidation or reduction occur, okay? Okay, this cannot be. You know why this cannot be? Because look, this zinc over here is at 0, and over here it's getting a +2, so this cannot be. This can be. Or answer, this can never be. And this is a combustion reaction now. Look, oxygen from 0 is going to -2, so this can also not be. So the answer is C. Take care. I'm just going to erase all the other options, otherwise you might be confused. The answer is C. I hope I made myself clear. Sorry, I guess it's not the neutralization reaction, because over here we are seeing that this reaction is a neutralization reaction, but still, oxidation is happening here, so it's only a precipitation reaction. Okay, and this one is also neutralization reaction, but no oxidation reduction is occurring here. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Sorry. Neutralization reactions, yeah. Sorry. This one's not a neutralization reaction because you have a salt, but you don't have water over here. Okay? Yeah, I was correct. Sorry. Neutralization reaction, yes, they are never redox. Because look, over here, it's salt and water. And if you don't have salt and water, it's not a neutralization reaction. Okay? यहाँ पे हाइड्रोजन प्रोड्यूस हो रही है, नॉट वाटर, सो दिस वन इज नॉट ए न्यूट्रलाइजेशन रिएक्शन. ठीक है? So this one's going to be the last question we practiced today. When a solution containing silver ions is added to a solution containing iron +2 ions and equilibrium is set up, the addition of which substance would not affect the amount of silver precipitated? ठीक है? Okay. Look, if you add Fe +3, ठीक है, if you add more of this, more silver ions are going to be formed, so it will affect. If you add Fe plus 2, more of silver is going to be precipitated. If you add Ag plus, again more silver is going to be precipitated, so addition of water won't affect. I hope whatever I taught today made everything clear. If you have any questions, you may ask in the comments below, and bye bye. So let's